No DQ Galaxy. We are live with a recap of Friday Night SmackDown for September the 30th, 2022. We are just over a week away until the Extreme Rules Premium Live event. Walter Cruz sent in a $2 super chat. He said, say yes to no DQ, like, share, hashtag stick to my shtick. Thank you for that, Walter. As always, much appreciated. Now, before we get into the recap, some unfortunate news to report. All-time wrestling legend, New Japan Pro Wrestling founder Antonio Inoki has passed away at the age of 79. One of the biggest Japanese professional wrestlers of all time. Absolute legend. He had quite the impact on the business for many years. He was in the ring with many top superstars over the years, such as Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, and he even had a wrestler versus boxer match with Muhammad Ali in 1976. He will be greatly missed. Head over to NoDQ.com for more on that. Caleb Jacobs sent in a $2 super chat, says, like who you are. I agree with that, Caleb. Definitely like who you are. Great way to live your life. Now, let's get to SmackDown. We had our full intro and pyro. And by the way, I almost forgot to do the early bird shout outs to Avatar, Jose Garza, Joey Perez, Ken Terminates DQ, Darren G, Mohammed, Jonathan Rowan, Eric, Calvin Bowman, Matt Helms. Thank you all for tuning in early. Remember, if you want a early bird shout out, you have to be here right at the start of the stream if you want that special shout out. So make sure you're here early. Get here right when the stream starts. Anyways, we kicked off with a match because it is the Triple H era. Sami Zayn and Solo Sikoa of the Bloodline going up against Ricochet and Madcap Moss. Apparently, the Usos had the night off because they retained their titles last week. Of course, we all know that there's an issue with traveling into Canada because of their previous arrests. Anyways, you had some early momentum from the good guys. Zayn and Solo Sikoa got sent to the outside of the ring. Madcap Moss launched Ricochet way up over the top rope to the outside onto the Bloodline members. Bad guys got the upper hand for a while after the commercial break. Then Ricochet hit a missile drop kick off the top, tagged into Madcap Moss. Moss came in. He was getting booed, by the way. This show, SmackDown this week, was in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. Of course, Sami Zayn, being Canadian, was going to be a fan favorite on this evening. Zayn managed to hit the Blue Thunder Bomb and scored the 1-2-3 victory. No, I'm kidding. The Blue Thunder Bomb never, ever, 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 ever wins a match. And it probably never will. We had all four men in the ring. Ricochet went for a dive to the outside, and Solo Sikoa threw a chair at him while the referee was distracted. And then Solo threw Ricochet over the barricade. He tagged in, and then Solo finished off Madcap Moss with a Uranagi, which they're calling the Spinning Solo, his version of the Uranagi. And then afterwards, Solo continued the beatdown on one Madcap Moss. And I guess time will tell if Madcap Moss gets any kind of character change. He needs some new attire. He's got that generic CAW look right now, and he could really use something. Not suspenders, but something. Backstage, Jey Uso was actually there, or was this taped last week? Jey Uso said that he sees right through Sami Zayn. He issued a warning to Zayn, but then Zayn said maybe Jey should take up his complaints with Roman Reigns, and then Zayn insisted on going into the Bloodline locker room since he is an honorary Uso. But of course, Jey still doesn't like the guy. We had a Karrion Kross and Scarlett vignette, and you had Kross cutting this promo saying he's going to take McIntyre to a point of no return. He said that both of them want the same thing. They want the unified championship, but only one can have it. And at the pay-per-view, in the strap match, they will bond together through suffering. We had another backstage segment with Austin Theory. He was talking about Drew McIntyre failing at Clash at the Castle. Said that McIntyre didn't have this because he should have known that Solo Sikoa was coming. But as it turns out, McIntyre was standing right behind him, and that set up a match. Drew McIntyre versus Austin Theory. However, Theory was not alone. Theory had the Alpha Academy with him. And you could kind of tell what was going to happen here because pretty much immediately McIntyre hit the Future Shock DDT and he went for the Claymore. And this was all like within the first minute of the match. And that's when Chad Gable got on the apron. Otis dragged him to the outside of the ring, dragged McIntyre out, threw him into the steps, causing a disqualification. And there was the beatdown. You know how this goes. Holla, holla, holla. Johnny Gargano runs down to make the save, but it wasn't enough because you need 3-on-3 so you can have that match be made. And that's when Kevin Owens came down to clean house, super kicks, Owens and Gargano with super kicks, and then Glasgow kiss to Otis, sent him out of the ring. And they did announce a 6-man match, but it was for the main event. So that's better than immediately coming back with the tag match. I like that they saved it to the end, but still, like, these segments are kind of predictable. And speaking of that, I saw this promo video for Raw, and they mentioned a contract signing. No, Triple H. No contract signings. All 6 matches have already been confirmed. They're up on WWE.com. You don't do a contract signing after you've already announced and promoted a match. It does not make logical sense, Triple H. Don't do it, please. Do not follow in Vince's footsteps with the contract signings. I'm begging you, Triple H. Can we cancel it between now and Monday's Raw? I would very much appreciate that. Now, moving on here. At the end of Karrion Kross's vignette, there was another QR code. You go scan in the QR code, and it takes you to a WWE.com webpage. 1911 is the URL, WWE.com/1911. And you have this video of the 3 little pigs, these little cartoon images of them, the big bad wolf. And there was a Morse code. And the Morse code, somebody translated it very quickly. I mean, that's the state of the world we live in at this time, where people just can figure this stuff out like instantaneously. But yeah, it was a Morse code, something about a demon being reborn. And there were more clues and some pretty significant clues, just in case we were not exactly sure who this White Rabbit is, what this is all leading to. And Cleaver Colin Andrew pointed out something here, a little Simpsons reference too in this. They had a lot of different references, but Perhaps the most telling reference up to this point is that 1911 URL, because Bray Wyatt wore a Mad Hatter hat back when he was doing the Firefly Funhouse, and that had the numbers 1911 on it. And also, there was a sign in the crowd, which was very conveniently right behind Michael Cole and Corey Graves. And it said, "Revel in who you are." Now, what is significant about that in regards to Bray Wyatt? Well, Bray Wyatt tweeted that very line back in 2019. Lots of clues here this week that clearly point in the direction of Bray Wyatt. And this is turning out very much like CM Punk's AEW debut, where it's like, wink, wink. We know who it's supposed to be, but it's not 100% confirmed. We won't exactly know until we actually get the reveal, which is apparently going to be at the Extreme Rules Premium Live event. Very interesting stuff here. I think they're doing a great job with it. They're getting people talking, lots of buzz. And I'm looking forward to what's next. Bray Wyatt reborn. We'll see what they do with this. Lots of possibilities, and it should be very interesting where they go with this character now in 2022. We had Shotzi. She was backstage cutting a promo on Bayley. And then we had MMM, the Maximum Male Models. They were trying to, I guess, break the world record for the longest pose, and they kept having interruptions. Hit Row showed up at one point, and then we had Hit Row versus Los Lotharios, which was very basic match here. I mean, almost a squash match. I mean, you had Beeb Fab out there, and Angel was getting distracted. Top Dollar picked up both Angel and Humberto at the same time, slammed them down at the same time, and then you had Adonis and Top Dollar hit the heavy hitter, double team finisher. They picked up the win. No surprise here. I mean, Los Lotharios basically enhancement talent at this point, which, I mean, I kind of liked Angel a little bit. Humberto kind of lacking in the charisma department, but yeah, I think they pretty much are best off being used to elevate other people at this point. And then we had Natalya versus Ronda Rousey. Natalya, of course, being Canadian, got a very good reaction, and Ronda Rousey actually did get a good reaction as well. Was not booed out of the building by any stretch. Basic match here. Natalya did get in some offense, tried an ankle lock, but got sent into the turnbuckle. And then later, she attempted a sharpshooter, but Rousey escaped that. Natalya hit a discus clothesline, but then Rousey came back, got the ankle lock on, and that was it. Natalya tapped. And then after the match, we had an angle. We had the champion of SmackDown, Liv Morgan, showing up with a baseball bat. There was a face-off, and then they started brawling. Liv Morgan tried to hit Ronda with the bat, but missed. Ronda hit Piper's Pit on the floor, and then there was a tug of war over the bat. Liv ended up being sent over the timekeeper's table, and security came down. They finally got Ronda Rousey away, but then Liv Morgan ran towards Rousey, attacked her again. Security had to pull them apart. Another pull-apart brawl, let them fight, yada, yada, yada. It's a new era with Triple H, but they're still doing the tried and true segments, the pull-apart brawls, the contract signings, the one-on-one match ends in a DQ, gets turned into a tag match. I mean, I'm kind of tired of these segments. I was hoping with Triple H in charge, we would not get these types of segments anymore. I mean, every once in a while, I guess, is okay, but I feel like they're relying on these types of segments way too often. Just my opinion. I know right now Triple H can do no wrong. Everybody loves him. This is kind of like AEW in 2019, where you cannot criticize Triple H right now, just like you could not criticize AEW in 2019. But the honeymoon period could eventually end. We had more stuff with Maximum Male Models backstage, and Kevin Owens walked by, and then he ran into Sami Zayn and told Zayn, "You need a new t-shirt, buddy," which I liked, continuing the teases with them. I'm thinking they'll eventually be the new tag team champions. That's my bold prediction. Backstage, the MMM pose continued. They were trying to hold it for the world record. Sonya Deville and Nakamura made little cameos to get their 5 seconds on the show. And then Imperium came to the ring with the Brawling Brutes. They were cutting this promo, but then Sheamus quickly interrupted, said that Ridge Holland and Butch were stuck in Florida because of Hurricane Ian, but the King of Bangers is there. And he had his shillelagh. He took out Kaiser and Vici, but then he got in the ring and he got rid of the shillelagh. He started brawling with Gunther, but then Vinci and Kaiser got back in the ring, 3-on-1, and Gunther just beat the hell out of Sheamus. He chopped him multiple times, power bombed him, and then they left. But then Sheamus got on the mic and asked if that was all that Gunther had. So Gunther sent in his boys to dish out some more punishment, and then Gunther grabbed the shillelagh and struck Sheamus with it. This was interesting. I mean, they really beat down Sheamus hard here. And like, part of me wonders, is Sheamus actually going to get the title next week? Like, they really beat him up badly, which kind of makes me think that there's a decent chance of him winning the title next week. I guess we will see. That is next Friday night on SmackDown. And then Saturday is the 6-man tag team match, the Donnybrook. And that is going to be a hell of a match. I'm very much looking forward to that one. That pay-per-view, despite being a B show, could be one of the best WWE pay-per-views of the year. You got 6 matches and not a weak match on the card, in my opinion. All of them have stipulations. I'm not a big fan of the stipulation pay-per-view in general, but if you're going to do it, you should have all the matches have Extreme Rules, right? Makes sense. And last year, they practically had nothing, to my recollection. We then had Bayley versus Shotzi. Shotzi had her tank back, had some pyro, and she got in some offense, but this was basically a showcase match to build up Bayley. And, Bayley should not be losing heading up to Extreme Rules. She won with the Rose Plant. Unfortunately, Shotzi took the L here when she really needs a win at this point. I'm glad they got her with the tank again, but Shotzi desperately needs some wins. Not sure if she was the right person to be fed to Bayley. I mean, they got other women on the roster that could do that. But anyways, maybe Shotzi will get another day where she can start to build up some momentum. After the match, Bayley pulled out a ladder and was going to use it to injure Shotzi, but then the Raw Women's Champion, Bianca Belair, ran down to make the save. They had a brief altercation, but Bayley was able to escape the ring, and the angle was fine. No issues with that. I just felt bad that Shotzi's on the verge of having a turnaround here, and really this was the worst timing for her to take a decisive loss. Then we had LA Knight, or Max Dupree, at least for the moment, backstage with MMM, and he ruined their world record attempt. He punched out Mansoor right before they broke the record. And then he said that this is ridiculous. This is not what he signed up for. And basically, he quit. LA Knight walked off. And I guess he's going to be LA Knight again. I keep calling him LA Knight because it's been building to that for several weeks now, which is fine. You know, I thought he could have made something out of the Max Dupree gimmick, but there was absolutely nothing wrong with LA Knight. And then we had our main event, Drew McIntyre, Kevin Owens, and Johnny Gargano against Austin Theory and the Alpha Academy. Now, a lot of people from Raw were on SmackDown. Some in the chat room are saying that the brand extension is dead. You have to keep in mind there was a very significant hurricane this week. So I'm not shocked about this. I think for this week, we can give WWE a pass. Probably several people were unable to make the show. People like Butch and Ridge Holland and other people that are based in Orlando and other parts of Florida. I mean, totally understandable why some people were not on SmackDown this week. So anyways, interesting commentary notes here. Michael Cole brought up Evolve, that Drew McIntyre and Johnny Gargano teamed up together and feuded with each other. Brought up Dragon Gate. We had PWG referenced. I mean, yeah, it's a new era in that sense. Bad Guys did get in some offense, but this was basically a showcase for McIntyre's team, and I really did not see KO losing in Canada and Drew McIntyre losing with his big match. So it was what it was. Glorified squash match here. And a lot of fighting on the outside of the ring towards the end. Gargano and Owens hit some super kicks to Otis, but then Gable gave Owens a suplex on the floor, tried to put him through a table, the ring announcer table, or not the ring announcer table, the commentary table. But then Owens took him out with a stunner, and then back in the ring, Drew McIntyre pinned Theory with the Claymore. So once again, Austin Theory loses. I thought maybe with the Triple H era, they would rehab Theory, start giving him some wins, you know, give him 6 months of wins to build him up as being credible. If he does cash in that Money in the Bank, they're doing no such thing with him. He continues to job out every single week. And what does that mean for Money in the Bank? Are they going to have him drop the briefcase to somebody? I don't know, but yeah, he's pretty flat as the Money in the Bank briefcase holder at this point. So all in all, SmackDown was pretty decent. Not great. Not one of the better shows. More of a buffer show, building up next week, building up Extreme Rules. Next week's going to be more significant. Logan Paul, Roman Reigns are going to be on the show. You got Gunther versus Sheamus. It was more about next week. This week was kind of filler. And like I said, they're doing the singles match ends in DQ, turns into tag match routine, pull apart brawl. Not my favorite stuff. Kind of filler. So I'm going to give the show a B-. It was fine. I actually think maybe Raw was the strongest show of the week of the 3 shows between Raw, AEW Dynamite, and SmackDown. I think I gave Raw a B, but I do not remember exactly. I thought Raw was pretty solid. So yeah, I think Raw was maybe the strongest show of the week. But still, SmackDown was fine. Wasn't a bad show by any means. And that's it. Thank you all so much for watching. I very much appreciate it. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. Spread the word about NoDQ.com. Tell a friend. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com. You can Check out all the latest clues over on NoDQ.com regarding the White Rabbit. Read about Antonio Inoki, RIP. And I will see you guys next time. And don't forget to say yes to NoDQ.com. Take care, everybody, and have a great weekend.